Michigan at Ohio State. It's the big one, guys. It's the Wolverines going on the road to the Shoe to face off against the Buckeyes. 20.5-point spread here. You know who's the favorite. I don't even have to say it. Over-under is set at a low 43.5. Not expecting a ton of scoring in this one. Michigan, everybody already knows, Michigan has dominated this series as of late. And I know this one's been circled for Ohio State for a little bit. Didn't seem like it last week. It seemed like Ohio State was very focused on taking care of Indiana, and they did a very, very good job of that, especially defensively in the special teams. Those arenas, man, they did really, really, really well. Michigan is just not been a good season. There's really no other way to put it, Mason. It's been a very disappointing season. And honestly, it should have been one that more people should have saw coming. We went into this season with preconceived notions that, Michigan won the national championship last year, and they've got momentum and they've got things going on in Michigan. And look, this coach was left with nothing. He was left with his hands empty, the cupboard empty. All the coaches left, a bunch of the players left. It's been a tough situation. And the stats show that. Okay. Michigan is 17th in the Big Ten. And if you're counting at home, there's only 18 teams. Okay. 17th in the Big Ten in total yards per game this year, under 300 offensively. Just absolutely putrid. 17th in yards per play this season at 4.92 in the Big Ten Conference. Total defense, they're 8th in the conference, so right there in the middle. 7th in the conference in yards per play allowed. They're averaging more yards per play allowed than they're gaining yards per play offensively this season in as far as yards per play there. So that's obviously a recipe for a losing season or one that's right around 500 or whatnot. Ohio State, on the other hand, it's been a really good season, Mason. We've talked about it. This offense, I'd give it a B. I think it's a good offense. Obviously, they've got dynamic playmakers out on the edge that when you really need it, they can go out there and they can get the ball. They know this game. Even Jeremiah Smith, he's young. He's made a couple of mistakes this year. This guy has instinct. He knows how to get it done. He's got the it factor. He's just needs some experience and reps and time in this system. Will Howard has been serviceable. He's been good. The numbers, there's really not anything to complain about. The rushing game has been pretty decent. The defense is unbelievable, though. The defense for Ohio State is one of the best in the country. Last week, it looked amazing against Indiana. Nothing short of amazing. I thought the defensive play calling was very spicy, whereas at times it had been kind of lame. There had been some big games where Ohio State decided not to dial up blitz and decided to just kind of sit back and play, let the game come to them. That wasn't the case this past weekend. And with the guys that they've got on the field, whenever they decide to dial it up, you better watch out. And you better have a hell of an offensive line to hold those guys back. And then you may proceed to try to deal with the linebackers in the secondary that are also really, really good. Caleb Downs, obviously, returning punts. He returned one for a touchdown this past weekend, looked really good doing so. And he may be the most dynamic defensive player in the country at safety, maybe minus Travis Hunter. But I would say that Caleb Downs is better at his one position than Travis is as far as playing in the secondary, but that's a debate for another day. This game means a lot to both of these teams. I think it means a little bit more to Ohio State this season, and I think that it's the thoughts have already crept in for Michigan at this point. There's not a ton to play for. You're just playing for extra practices and a chance to go get your goodie bag at a bowl game. I mean, that's honestly that's all that's going on here at this point. But it's a rivalry game, and you got to watch out for those. I could see this spread not being covered here, Mason, but it's going to be. I think this line is pretty dead on. I could also see Ohio State winning this thing by 21 or 28 points. Hell, I could see Ohio State winning this thing by 30 points if things really got out of hand. I don't think Michigan is gonna be able to sustain any type of offensive drives and keep their defense off of the field. I just don't see it happening against this Ohio State defense. Give me the Buckeyes big here. If I had to pick one side of the spread, I think I'd pick Ohio State minus the points. Um, what do you think about this one as I kind of look up? I'm going to look up some betting trends for this game, and I'll put them on the screen for you guys, and you can kind of see how the bets have went over the last couple of 5-10 years, and kind of look at that. Mason, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, well, looking at Ohio State in this game, I don't think that they're going to want to go out here and I know the history, and Ryan Day hasn't won this game, that they want to win this game, right? I'm not saying that there's no motivation to win. There's plenty of motivation for Ohio State to beat Michigan this year, but when I'm looking at what Ohio State has in front of them in a Big Ten championship game, I don't think I really feel like Ohio State is going to go in, get up early in this football game, and then just kind of play vanilla after that, and skate to a win. I think Michigan is going to cover the 20.5 points. They don't have anything better to do than kind of spoil Ohio State season once again. So why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they come out swinging? This is a rivalry game. 20.5 points is a ton of points. I'm just going to leave it at that. In a rivalry game, you don't see blowouts like that too much. And then on the flip side, when you look at Michigan, what they did, and I know it was Northwestern, but put up 50 points on Northwestern this past week. Davis Warren, finally comes back and from injury, and he's playing pretty good football. He completed 74% of his passes, only 195 yards, and with one touchdown and one interception, but is looking efficient in this offense, and looks like he has the intangibles to run this offense pretty well as well. But maybe a big win like that with a huge margin of victory, 50-6 over Northwestern, gets the offense going a little bit, and kind of gets them finding a rhythm to go in and take on the Buckeyes in this game. I don't think it's going to be enough. I like Ohio State to win it. But I did want to note that I feel like they found a quarterback finally, and we were wondering if they were going to all season long, up until the past few weeks. So, but yeah, I've got Ohio State in this one. I think it's going to be probably a 9 or 12 point win, somewhere around there. So I think Michigan will struggle to score, but give me Ohio State 27 and Michigan 13. Sounds about right.
Yeah, some interesting stuff here that I've got on the screen here. If you're not looking at your screen, I'll try to describe it to you the best I can here. But look at this against the spread in the last 10. Michigan 7-3, Ohio State 3-7. The over has hit 10 times out of 10 in the last 10 in this game. How about that? Um, that's pretty surprising, I feel like, to most people. And look at this too. The pass attempts in this game. Ohio State has been the team that's ran the ball a lot more in this game over the last 10 years. So kind of some interesting stuff there that you probably wouldn't. I don't know. I don't. You probably wouldn't consider to be the case, honestly. The total has gone over in 6 of Michigan's last 8 games. Um, that I feel like that's something to kind of consider. The total has gone under for Ohio State in 4 of Ohio State's last 5 games. So you can kind of see Michigan. I feel like Vegas is more feeling, they feel like Michigan doesn't have much going on. And so therefore it's a little easier, I think, for Michigan to go over on those numbers. Ohio State as dominant defensively as they are, I feel like Vegas still thinks that the public perception of Ohio State is that their offense is what leads this team, and that's not the case at all. Just some interesting facts there that I just kind of put on your screen, and you guys all know about the injury situations for each of these teams, but I'm putting them on the screen right now. You can kind of pause it and take a look at that at your leisure. There's Michigan, and then there's Ohio State. And obviously this one was a big concern going into the Indiana game. Seth McLaughlin there at the center spot. No signs of any problems this past weekend, as the center from last year was able to step in there, who had started 8 or 10 games last year. But something to keep an eye on nevertheless.